Hey up guys, I've stayed in Japan now for 3.5 years and I've lived in many places. I've just moved to my new apartment in Tokyo, which is expensive but not as expensive as the ones in the past, and it's kind of spacious-ish, and if you have read like blogs before of how to get an apartment in Tokyo or Japan, it's expensive and difficult, but it's worth the time. I used a company in Tokyo for help to try and get this apartment. To get this apartment I used Aonissin, and they were really helpful and kind. Beforehand I have lived in a Leopalace when I had a job in Odawara. I've lived in a Japanese house, which was confusing but also interesting. Before that, in the past, I also used a place called Hippo House, which is like a dormitory where you have a shared kitchen and shared bathroom. But I had the VIP room because I'm very important. Not really. But the money for the place was about 35,000 for one person, or if you wanted your own sort of room with like bath, the VIP room was 70,000 yen. But in Tokyo, my first apartment was 120,000 yen, which is about, at the current exchange rate, is £867 for a apartment for 1 month, but that included bills. Before that, I lived in a few places with Sakura House, which are really easy to deal with because you just pay a deposit of about 20,000 yen, and then you pay your first month's rent, and ta-da, you have it. You can view the places before, but you can book the apartment before you come to Japan for either a holiday or just to get used to the local area and find out like where you'll be working, like where you'll be staying. Like you don't know when you first come here because Tokyo is such a big place, and you have Saitama above you, Chiba to the right, and Kanagawa to the left. I guess like Osaka and Kobe and that are kind of similar, but I've never lived in that area. Usually going with like not a hostel but a dormitory. Some of them are like 70,000 a month, where you get your own room and stuff, but I used Hippo House, which was 35,000 usually, but you would be sharing, so you'd have a few beds in the same room. But you only pay a deposit and some money when you move in, and then when you move out, you just clean and you'll get most of your deposit back. But trying to get an apartment without using the foreigner-friendly companies. For example, I used Leopalace, and the whole thing was in Japanese, so that was really difficult. I had to basically go through the contract, look at the locations of the place at a really short notice. I had a choice between two places, but luckily I got my old place for a cheap price. But you have to pay usually 2 months rent up front, a deposit, which is about 1 month, key money, and agency fee, which is 1 month. And then as you're a foreigner who isn't living here, you have to get a guarantor, which is anything from half a month to 1 month's rent. So if you're moving into Tokyo, I'd suggest having at least 400,000 yen, which is, I recommend having about 400,000 yen, which is about £2,900, which is really expensive to move into your first place. But you have your first 2 months of rent. It depends when you originally move in, and also when you move out you might have a deposit, so they take that out with a cleaning fee. So good luck finding a place, but usually if it's not foreigner friendly, because some places you look for When I applied with Aonissin, they were really helpful, but when calling people, they didn't allow some foreigners to stay there, which is a general case in some places. I'm not too sure why, but maybe foreigners in the past were bad, or they left places in a really bad condition. I don't know. When you're applying, you need lots of information, such as a Ju Minhwa, which I had to get, and you also have to get information about your place of work. If you're living with somebody else, you have to get their place of work information, your foreigner card information, your passport, and so forth. But please ask the people who you're going with what documentation they need. The worst thing I realized about living here or trying to apply for somewhere is usually the people showing you the apartments are really pushy. So they try and push you we want this. Luckily, the company I went with who helped me, Aonissin, they weren't too pushy, but a little bit pushy. But I'll put the link to them in the description below. But usually I've been into places before in the past, and they're like, "Do you like this place?" And you're like, "I've only just seen this place, so I'm trying to decide." But they want you to decide then and there. Where you have to put your foot down, where a lot of people here don't really do that. I don't know why, but it was really annoying. On moving in, some places do not have the lights, for example this place, so I had to fit the lights myself. But then your bills will come through if your utilities aren't included over the next few months, but it's not too expensive compared to what you would think. It just depends how much you use. If you have the lights on and aircon on and everything on all day, then it's going to be expensive. But if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.